Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of The Gift of Giving. My name is Stephen Murray, and I'm the host of this program, and I thank you for joining us again this week. If you're tuning in for the first time, our program focuses on nonprofits, 501c3s, and foundations based right here in the state of Nevada. This week, we are very, very pleased to welcome two individuals from New Horizons Academy. And our first guest is the principal, Kirsten Lopez, and we also have a board member and a parent of the student at New Horizons, Ben Lampson. Thank you both for joining us here today and educating us on New Horizons Academy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So, Kirsten, let's start with you. Could you give us a brief overview of the organization and some history of it and when it was founded?
Certainly. This school year is our Golden Jubilee, or the 50th year that we've been in service to this community.
Oh, congratulations on that.
Thank
That's
you.
no small feat.
It is not
50 years.
It is quite the moment for
Yes.
us. So we were founded in 1974 by Dr. Teresa Smith, who got her PhD late in life and herself had some learning challenges. And she really felt very passionately about the issue that we were not robustly serving the learning challenged students of the Las Vegas community. So she founded New Horizons Academy. And again, we've been serving this community now for 50 years.
Wow. Well, congratulations, 50 years. That's just amazing. And when you say special needs, so what are the special needs that qualifies somebody for coming to New Horizons?
That's a great question. So originally our mission was and still is to serve children with learning challenges. So common things that people might know like dyslexia or a math disorder, ADHD. And we also now have a hardy contingency of students who are on the autism spectrum. And those two populations are the majority that we serve. Right now, we are actually serving 28 different diagnostic categories.
Oh,
Again,
good grief.
and some of them are medical and some of them are neurological and some of them are educational. But we are able to serve that broad range because of the great staff that we have.
Boy, that's amazing that you've got all these different, that there's that many different conditions and you're managing to deal with them all in the one program. Well, we've got few programs. We'll talk about those later. What was the catalyst that made you get involved?
So I was approached by the board of directors a number of years ago. I had a private practice during doing neuroplasticity work. So where we were retraining brains to work more efficiently. And they wanted me to bring those programs to the school. And so we met about that a couple of times and then COVID hit and we met up again after COVID. And so I came to the school and I was there for about a semester helping out because they just needed an extra teacher. And then I was supposed to move on to do this brain work, but then they needed a principal. So I was approached by the board to see if I'd be willing to serve in that position.
And you accepted and hopefully no regrets.
No, none at all. Sometimes it's those paths you least expect to land up on are some of the best
truth?
ones.
Yes, isn't that the truth? And Ben, let's turn to you. So firstly, how long have you been a board member?
I'm actually one of the newer board members. I just started September of last year.
Okay.
So we've been part of the school for 4 years, but then I was approached by Ms. Lopez and said, "Hey, Ben, we could use some more board people. Could you help us out a little bit?" And I had to look at my schedule and find out a little bit more about what was all entailed, but then I was willing to jump in and start learning and see what they needed to do.
Now, what was the catalyst for making you join the organization? Because there's a plethora of organizations out there that are crying out for board members.
Sure. I've been volunteering most of my life at different organizations, but I'm a little choosy. And we have a child that goes to the school right now. We have a 10th grader there. So of course, when we're dealing with our kids, we have a little bit more of an interest involved. Sure. And prior to coming out to Las Vegas, our kids were in public schools. Now they're in private schools out here. But the public schools, there wasn't any positions really unless you wanted to run for an elected position to be part of the education process. But here we get to have a direct input on what the school does, how it does, and see what I can do to help and volunteer.
Nice. Well, I'm sure they appreciate your service. Now, I noticed, well, firstly, how many tutors do you currently have? because you said you've got a great staff and covering all of this. How many tutors do you have?
So we're in an older, somewhat small building for a school, which drives some of how many students we have. We currently have approximately 60 students from grades K to 12, and we're in the enrollment process right now for next year.
Gotcha. So you've got 60 students, and then how many staff?
We have 12 teachers, and about, counting the part-time custodian and maintenance man, we have about 6 support staff.
Okay.
So
Now, are you looking for more teachers at this point in time, or only if you grow?
I think right now we're good for next year, but then you never know. And we are, again, as I mentioned, in the enrollment process for next year. So we will be having a graduating class. So we'll have those seats to fill. And we are hoping we'll be able to add 10 additional seats to that number as well. So a little bit of growth for next year.
But it's nice to have those small class sizes because that gives the students presumably a lot of individual attention, which they clearly need.
It does. It really makes a difference.
Yeah. And Ben, getting back to the board, what are the qualifications for, the students, what are the qualifications for acceptance of the students, and what's the fee structure that they have to pay? Is there a fee structure?
Well, the kids, if they have open houses a couple times a year usually, so families can come and actually look at the school, which is great. That's how we actually got introduced to school. Someone in California told us about the school out here. We brought our son out here and toured the school and met the staff, and we're very impressed. But first you go through an open house, or you come and take a tour of the school. You meet with Miss Lopez, the principal. There's some paperwork to fill out as well too. And then they look to see if the school is a benefit for the child. You know, there are children on the spectrum or that need special needs. There's a wide variety of them, and there's only so much you can do with certain students in a certain situation. So after they meet, if it's a student that works with the school and would work well with the criteria and the teaching element there, then they move forward with that and they do the application. It is a private school, so there's a tuition that gets involved and can be, depending on the grade level, anywhere from $1,500 to $2,000 a month. It depends on the grade level that the children are coming in with. They do have some scholarships available that can help offset those costs. So some families, they don't have the necessary facilities to pay those fees, so they can apply for some of the scholarships as well too.
Oh, good.
So
That's nice.
yeah, so it's a nice process.
And we're always looking at factors of efficiency. So really, and I totally want to mirror what you're saying about, we want to be a good fit for each child and each family, and to know that we can robustly serve you. So oftentimes the fastest way to get the ball rolling and to introduce us to your child and your family is to go to our website, which is nhalv.org. And on every page, there's an inquiry button. And that inquiry button will let you describe your child to us, let us know what grade you're looking for. And it's an opportunity for you to upload diagnostic documents to us. So through that very quick process, we can get an introduction to the needs of your child. And then we would get back to you to follow up with, if you haven't been to an open house, to do the other parts of setting up a tour and potentially an interview if we think we can serve you.
All sounds very, very personalized, which is nice. Lots of attention paid to the individual student.
Yes.
And we will be putting at the end of the program, but put your website out on the screen as well.
Great.
Now, you're covering all levels, and we're going to talk about these in the next section, but you've got the preschool and daycare, and you've got lower school, and then you've got middle school, and then you've got the upper school. And we're going to talk about those in depth, what you cover in each of those levels and how the children here benefit. So we're going to take a brief sponsorship break. Please stay with us, folks. We're going to be right back with New Horizons Academy.
Budget deficits, national debt, presidential elections, government shutdowns, global conflicts in Europe, global conflicts in the Middle East, global pandemics, interest rates, rising inflation. Markets go up and markets go down for reasons nobody can control. Don't let the volatility of the stock market determine the quality of your retirement. Your financial strategy can make all the difference. I'm Joshua Dowden. At Priority Wealth Partners, your goals are our goals. We believe people can live better lives with smart financial education and knowledge. We work closely with clients to match strategy with individual needs. Our personal financial strategies have helped investors accomplish their goals while reducing market volatility, and we can help you too. You've worked hard to get where you are now. Your financial plan should work hard for you in retirement. Conveniently located in downtown Summerlin, my name's Joshua Dowden. Call me today for a free consultation. 702-808-6513. That's 702-808-6513.
Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for staying with us, and I'd like to thank again our guest today, Kirsten Lopez, the principal of the New Horizons Academy, and Ben Lamson, a board member, same organization. In this section, I'd like to discuss some of the academics, the details, because you've got multiple levels of education here. It seems to me you've got preschool and daycare, you've got lower school, middle school, and upper school, and they're all covering different things. So let's go in order. Let's talk a little bit about the preschool and the daycare first.
Okay, so the overall umbrella of our organization, our nonprofit, is called the New Horizons Center for Learning. And then there's two subsets. It's the preschool and daycare, and then it's the academy side, which is the K to 12.
Okay.
And so there's a director for the preschool, and I'm the principal of the academy side.
Okay.
But on the preschool side, we take infants as young as 6 weeks. And on the high school side, we go to 12th grade. So theoretically, you could come at 6 weeks and stay with us till you're 18. I don't know that anyone's ever done that. But,
No.
So on our side, we have K to 12, and that's kindergarten through 12th grade. And again, the very small class sizes. In the lower school and the middle school, we tend to keep the class sizes no more than 8. And in some of those classrooms, like kindergarten and first, because they need so much support. We also have a permanent teaching assistant in that room with the teacher. Middle school, we have a middle school pod of two primary teachers, because middle school is such a dynamic time of growth and change and transitioning from being in one classroom most of the day, but not moving to all 7 in the high school. And so in high school, we have grades 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. We are an accredited school by the Cognia World Organization, and we're also licensed by the state of Nevada. So our curriculum is driven a lot by the parameters by the state of Nevada for what we teach in each grade level.
Oh, okay. Now, you mentioned about the preschool and daycare. You said sometimes you'll take children as young as 6 weeks. Do adults know at 6 weeks that their child could be?
That's an interesting question. So the preschool is, again, a separate entity, and it's primarily taking all children.
Oh,
It's not a specialized program.
Right.
So
okay, that makes sense.
There isn't that thing of at
Yes.
6 weeks, we think we need some special services for our child.
Okay.
Correct. I'm glad
So,
you asked
and
that.
the same with daycare. That's just open to everybody.
Yes.
And have you discovered that sometimes not at 6 weeks, but in the early years, that the teachers there can detect whether some of these children are going to need special needs and will go into your next level? They can tell.
Like we're already interviewing several families from the preschool for our kindergarten for next year. So they'll just move across the hallway or across the campus to the other building and join us in the academy side.
Okay. And once in the academy side, if they start out in the lower level, as they get older, can they just move into the next level, or do they have to reapply, or once they're in?
So once you're there, then we are always reviewing with parents. So we have parent-teacher conferences twice a year. Our doors are always open for parents to drop by or come in and ask questions. And so, yes, you don't have to reapply. We have a real re-enrollment process every year, but you don't have to reapply.
Okay,
and
so
you can just move through those 13
thing.
years with us if you want.
Okay. Now, what are the different levels of benefits in these the lower, middle, and upper schools? From what I could read, you focus on different subjects or different levels of education within each of these lower, middle, and upper. What do you focus on in the lower school part?
So again, our curriculum is mostly driven by the state, but we also are very aware that we are working with not just brains inside of heads, but with whole children. And so we really are looking at social, emotional needs, academic needs, social growth, because many of our students have struggled in the past with those kinds of issues. So while we offer a standard curriculum of reading, writing, and math and science, we also have those added supports with a great counselor that we have, and the capacity to be a little bit nimble. We have a 7th grader right now who's spending part of his math time in a high school math class because he's really gifted in math. And we also have, through middle school and high school, we ability group. So we have some students that are on a faster pace academically, and another group that would need a slower pace. And so for primary subjects, we group them that way. And then for specialties like art or PE, we would combine more. And so they're getting a chance to cross-visit or be in classes with a wide variety of others. But academically, we can be more targeted when we do some ability grouping.
Yeah. Boy, sounds like a humongous juggling act.
Yeah. It can be. It can be.
Figuring out what child goes where and what class and what group, depending on their needs. Because she said some might be strong in maths and slow in another area, and then you've got to juggle and move them around and find the appropriate home for them.
So we really do try to individualize and meet each student's needs in a holistic way to the best of our ability.
It sounds like you're doing amazing work there, truly amazing. We
are, and much of our campus, our school is really based on the hearts of the children and the people who come to work there every day. We have a culture of kindness, and you just all day long, you can see little acts of kindness that might not burst forth in a more traditional setting. If somebody needs their shoes tied, somebody will help them tie their shoe, and nobody makes fun of them. Nobody rolls their eyes. Nobody makes a snide comment. It's just an act of kindness, and off they go to the next thing. And so students are always looking out for each other. Some of them, it's the first time in school where they've had the freedom for their kindness to flourish. And so some people even tell us when you walk in the building, you can just feel how warm and welcoming it is there. That's
nice. Because you mentioned this act of kindness. Bullying seems to be a very huge thing.
Absolutely.
In regular schools and classes these days. We hear a lot about bullying. And you have children with special needs. Do any of them have bullying instincts, or do you manage to cut it off at the pass, Or...
I think some students come a bit defended because they've had so many challenging experiences with bullying or other people not including them. But I think once they see how welcoming everyone is, that wall begins to crumble. And we kind of support you as you make your way to that place. We have some kids that sometimes older kids who just a little thing will set them off and they'll burst into tears, but because they maybe haven't felt as welcomed or as safe in other environments. And that wears off, and then they're happier, they're more included, they're more including of others because they feel safe. So for any of us to learn well and to be a good community member, really the first thing you need is to feel safe.
Yes, for sure. And it's good that they can pick up on that. Well, they say, where God takes away one function, they strengthens another one. So,
and I think because so many of them, they have faced challenges outside of our environment, they're very, they just tend to scoop up the new people. It's like, hey, come on, it's going to be all right. Because they can empathize with what it's been to not be, being afraid to read out loud in class or to need help with something. And so there's a lot of empathy and a lot of, I think, community building that comes sometimes from that shared experience of not feeling like you're enough. But in our school, the other day we walked in, and as teachers walked in, the high schoolers were standing in the lobby and they cheered for every teacher and staff that came in the door.
Nice.
Cheering for everybody. So there is, again, just that sense of hope and care in our building.
How nice. How nice is that? And now I just want to talk about the upper school a moment, because in looking at your website, it says there's 2 tracks. You've got a modified track and a standard track. Would you, for those viewers who might have somebody that will come into the upper school, what's the difference between the modified track and the standard track?
Okay. So in a standard track, you're going to receive the standard high school curriculum prescribed by the state of Nevada, and you're going to receive it at a grade level that you're in. So a 10th grader will get 10th grade curriculum at a 10th grade level. Now, we might accommodate you with some things like having your textbook read to you, or some things that level the playing field but don't change what we're teaching you. Some of our students need that curriculum modified, where maybe you aren't going to really thrive in an algebra class, and so we might do a functional math class for you, where we're going to modify the curriculum to meet you where you are. And so the standards in the state of Nevada, you have a standard diploma if you've been on a standard academic class at your level, but perhaps with some accommodations, or you might get a modified diploma if you need your curriculum leveled down to meet you where you are.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. Okay, we're going to take another brief sponsorship break. Please stay with us, folks, because when we come back, Ben has a son at New Horizons Academy, and we're going to talk to him about how his son has benefited from being at New Horizons. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
Introducing Pacific Coast Capital, your partner in finance. We provide financing for your business. Speed, flexibility, and creativity are the foundation of our service. We'll help you navigate through change and opportunities. Our 90-plus years of experience ensures quick turnaround on loan decisions. Ride the wave to prosperity with us. Ready for new funding? Visit our website today at pacificcoastcap.com.
Country roads take me home to the place where I belong, West Virginia, Mountain Mama. Comes a triple yodel.
Welcome back, everyone, and I'd like to welcome back our guests, Kirsten Lopez and Ben Nampson from New Horizons Academy. And as I mentioned, Ben, the board member, has got a child who's studying at New Horizons Academy. And Ben, I'd like to ask you, first of all, how long has your son been there, and how have you seen the benefits of your son from having been at New Horizons?
It's been an interesting experience.
Okay.
Our son is now in 10th grade, and he started in 7th grade there at the school. So he's been there 4 years. This is his 4th year, and he'll finish up and graduate from there and possibly transition to UNLV. There's a little transition program that they have linked in with UNLV as well. But he's a high-functioning autistic child. So when we left California, we actually, when he finished elementary school, we were looking for a junior high school for him. And we were concerned about bullying. We were concerned about social development. We were concerned about him getting enough personal development for his educational process. And when he was diagnosed with autism, he was in 2nd grade or 1st grade, but he was in a mainstream, regular, traditional elementary school with class sizes of 30 or so. When he got into 3rd grade, it was very difficult for him to focus on any type of learning in the school because of so much activity and the kids and the noises and everything else. So fortunately, our elementary school had a special needs breakout classroom, and he wound up going to a classroom that had 2 teachers and only 9 students in there. And he went through the rest of the track that way. So when we looked for a junior high school, we wanted to find the same thing. And there wasn't really anything in our area in California. There was a couple schools in Los Angeles that dealt with kids on the spectrum, but they were $60,000, $70,000 a year in costs.
Wow.
So one of his teachers, special needs teachers, actually told us about New Horizons out here. So we actually drove here, made an appointment, and we did some online stuff with them, and then came and took a tour of the school. And we wound up moving out here from California strictly because of the school. So our son could enroll with New Horizon and be in a school that met his needs. And it was interesting because when we first took a tour with him through the school, and he was looking at the different classrooms, and these classrooms had 4, 6, 7 kids in them, he started just almost smiling and feeling really relaxed because they were like him, you know, and I think he could sense that.
Yes.
And all the teachers were very kind, very understanding. They understood kids on the spectrum, and we didn't have to fear about bullying or being picked on. You know, kids on the spectrum are special. but they just process a little different than
Yes.
other kids that are out there.
Yes.
They're not necessarily dumb kids, and they don't, they want to learn like every other kid and be a participant like every other kid. But yeah, he started in 7th grade, and it took him a good first year just to kind of get acclimated and get to know the kids there. But this last year, he went to a school dance for the very first time ever in his life, which was fantastic. He was on the yearbook committee last year and then helped do the picture layouts on the pages for the yearbook. So these are things we've never seen him do in primary school prior. So we know that the encouragement, the comfort feeling, the culture of the school is definitely growing him along. And he's also communicating a lot more at home and playing with his sister more than he ever has. So he's really developing as a full child, which just warms our heart.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you really seem very positive, constructive changes. They just haven't been gradual, minor things. They're pretty bold and substantial changes for him.
Yeah.
Now, his name's Grant.
Grant, yeah.
And would you like to talk about this?
Sure. I brought in this picture right here. Besides having autism, a year and a half ago, he was diagnosed with Crohn's, which is an autoimmune disease system in the gut. And we didn't know what was happening with him, but he wasn't growing. He was stagnating. And then he went to the hospital for almost 2 weeks here locally to go through a series of testing. And then they finally, after a month or two of testing, they discovered that it was Crohn's. And he had to go in to have surgery done and have some damaged intestines removed out of his body and some other things. So he was out of school a year ago, January, for a couple weeks. And then he had 6 weeks of recovery at home. So he was out of school almost 2 full months. Well, the day we came back to school, and he was able to do some remote learning while he was at home. We weren't going to let him just sit around and watch television all day and do nothing. But when we came back to school, the kids missed him so much that I pulled up in my car, and here's probably 20 or 30 kids out on the front porch of the school, and they're holding the sign up that you see on the screen that says, "Grant, welcome back." And all the kids and all the teachers signed it. And he just almost smiled and just, I think he was overwhelmed with that. He's never felt that type of acceptance ever before.
Yes.
And he walked up into the school and they gave him that. We've had that on our wall at home for the last year, ever since he got it. And he looks at it all the time when he walks by it. And it just, I think, really shows the culture that's created at this school and the closeness of all these children that are in all different spectrums. Like Ms. Lopez says, some speak a lot, some don't speak a lot. Some are emotional, some aren't emotional. Some are work independently, some like working with groups. And each one, they find a magical way to make them all work together well at the school. And we're just extremely happy with the school and what we've seen Grant become. It just warms us.
And I would like to add, that was student driven. A classmate came up to me and said, "We know he's coming back. Can we make a poster?" So I've said, of course. And then we weren't exactly sure when he was coming back. So every day for 4 days, the students came up with the sign, "Is he coming today? Is he coming today?" And they waited. And when they saw him pull up, they all just flooded out the front door to wait on the porch for him. So
What a heartwarming story.
Yes.
It is.
What a heartwarming story. Thank you for sharing that with us and certainly the board. And talking about boards, what rewards have you found has it been for you being on the board?
Well, I think what's been the best part for me personally is being able to see things that this board needed that I've learned from being on other boards. I probably participate on 10 different board of directors back in California for different groups, whether it's a chamber or an industry professional group or a nonprofit group. And I've been able to bring that and share different ideas with them, because many of these members are either past parents or they're past benefactors or they're people that just care about this type of school and education, but they haven't been on a lot of different boards. So I can bring a different perspective to them and to be able to share a perspective and then have them embrace that perspective and then work on that perspective, to me has been very rewarding. So we've moved a lot in the last 6 months.
Cool.
Yeah.
Now you're looking for more board members?
We are. Yeah, we definitely could expand the board with a few more people. You don't have to be a parent. You don't have to be in education. We like community involved people that do care about children, of course, and learning and understanding that situation. But, we have attorneys on our board. We have parents on our board. We have some people that have been on the board for many, many years that understand what the school's about. They knew the founders of the school, and they support that as well too.
How many board members you currently have?
I believe we have at least a dozen or so,
Okay.
maybe 10 to 12. But I think we can go up to 18 actually. So there's definitely room. And there's some board members that have been on the board for a very long time that might want a little break as well too.
Yes.
If we could bring in some new board members.
Well, you don't want too many, because they say, if you want to delay a decision, expand the board. If you want to make a decision,
That's true.
contract the board. Volunteer opportunities. Are there any volunteer opportunities that?
So occasionally we do bring in outside volunteers. We've had several events where we've had a high level of parent volunteers. For our students, familiarity is very important. And so it's not always easy to interject outside people that they don't know. But this year we have an amazing PTO. They've held a trunk or treat. They had a winter festival. We're planning a barbecue and a field day coming up soon.
Oh, cool.
And really, they just say, whatever you need, please let us know. And so they're a great resource for us.
Yes, you've got a nice, solid support group
Yes.
there. Now, how do you get funded, apart from the fees, obviously?
I don't know if you want to speak to that.
Sure.
The board is doing more
Yeah,
fundraising.
one of the things that we've realized is that with only 60 or 70 students, we could probably go up to 90, 95 students in the school. So we do need to expand our outreach to families in the Vegas Valley, so they understand that we can bring in more students. So of course that would help. But we also do a lot of fundraising, and then we're doing more of it. We just had the gala, which is our 50-year anniversary this past year, raised over $500,000 from local businesses
Nice. Wow.
and organizations, family foundations that believe in education. We're donating. We were just overwhelmed with the generosity of the community out here. We're always looking to upgrade the teaching ideas that they have in the school, the technology, the playground. There's always things that can be done better in the schools, plus the scholarships for the students of the families that can't afford to do it. So we do that outreach. We just had an art auction. That's where the kids did all their art, and we had invited in different benefactors to come to the school and buy the art and donate to show off the school and what these kids do. So we're creating more programming, and we're doing more outreach, but we'd love to have any other family foundations out there, businesses in the Las Vegas Valley that could help us out.
Sounds good. And we're now going to find out from you where they can go to help you out. So would you care to give out your website and phone number where people can get in touch with you?
Certainly. So our website is nhalv.org, and our phone number is 702-876-1181. And again, on our website, there's an inquiry link that you can fill out if you want to learn more about our school and the potential for us to interview and tour you through our school for your child.
And there's also a donate button on there, I assume. I think
A
you
donate
said.
button, yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
So there's a
Yep.
donate button should you choose to donate to this organization. Kirsten and Ben, I'd like to thank you both so much for coming on this program today. You're doing absolutely amazing work out there. It's just real heartwarming to listen to what you're doing and the difference you're making in these children's lives. It's just spectacular. So thank you for everything and taking time out of your schedules to be with us today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure. And I'd like to thank you, the viewers, for tuning in. If you have any questions or comments, please reach out to me, Stephen, at thegiftofgiving.vegas. I'd also like to thank the show's producer, John Stars, and station owner. Thank you for allowing me to host this program, John. And certainly I'd like to thank our sponsors, without whom we would not have a show. They are Pacific Coast Capital, Priority Wealth Partners, the Firelight Barn, my business partner, RJ Champion. You'll hear his message right at the end of this program. And the Friends of the Gift of Giving. These are anonymous donors who care to support the program, and I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much. And again, thank you, the viewers, once again. I hope you'll join us again next week. In the meantime, please stay safe, be kind to one another, and we'll see you again soon. Bye for now.
Mr. R.J. Champion is proud to sponsor WWDBTV's series, The Gift of Giving, and wishes the program much success. Congratulations and gratitude to the featured guests and the organizations they represent. Our community is well served by your tireless efforts to make Nevada a better state for all its residents.